everything else is like New York, Miami, Texas, California, and what? Maybe Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Because other places lack culture. It's like Trump. That's the United States of America. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
What's good, y'all? It's Ofo from the WYL Take Ownership podcast, where we're all about taking ownership of your mental, your economics, and your community. I'm joined today by Letta J. Say what's up. And Doc Cromwell over here. We got Philly, we got Dallas in the building, good stuff.
Yeah.
Now today, as we always do, we're going to hit you guys with some things that are happening right now, get their opinions on these things, see how it's all coming together. And then we want to hit you guys with a conversation on music, especially hip hop as entering now its 6th decade, really shifting the culture and being the number one listened to music on the planet. How are you guys feeling? I mean, are you guys familiar with the fact that the WNBA just signed a new collective bargaining agreement saying that now all players will, on average, get over six figures a year? Not sure if you guys are big WNBA fans. I will be first and foremost in saying that I don't tune in to watch it all the time, but I do know it is a collective win for the culture. It's a collective win for all those women that put their entire lives around the idea of playing basketball, and it's deserved from the money that's made off of them annually. So, I mean, just opening up with that, what are you guys' thoughts on where that sits and what the future looks like for inclusivity on all levels?
I mean, personally, I love it. So I grew up playing basketball my entire life. And as a matter of fact, basketball was the only thing I loved as much as music growing up. And I remember I watched like Pete Magic. I used to sleep with the basketball. I was like bouncing it low. Like I was just nice with the handles, 17.5 points a game on average, Girls to this day ask me about that body. I go, honey, this is 20 years in the making, this is basketball. But so it makes me really happy because I remember I was like 9 or 10, I met Nancy Lieberman Klein, who at the time was one of the only women that there was like this controversy. She felt like she was qualified, like capable enough to be considered in the NBA. And it's interesting because everyone was like, she tripping, But she ended up hosting this basketball camp and it was for women and it was just powerful. I met her, I met Cynthia Cooper, Rebecca Lobo, and these women were idols for me. And so to understand like women influence so many cultures. Obviously, I have a gaming startup, and women are the reason the mobile industry is the number one gaming genre in the gaming gamut. And I think it's really great to see women being rewarded for, honestly, we work really hard, to just be acknowledged. And so to finally be acknowledged financially in a sport that is so important to, I guess, American culture, certainly our culture as like people.
But worldwide now with basketball,
sure. But like in a country like America that places education, sports over education.
Sure.
Like,
coming from Texas, that's a very really real thing.
Huge. And it's like, it's a very big acknowledgement and it's long overdue.
Yeah. No, that's real.
What are
your thoughts on
that?
Yeah.
So I don't watch the WNBA, but I also don't watch the NBA.
So
as much, So this is news to me.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad I could drop it today.
Appreciate it. But I think this is great, man. I think that when we're looking across the board, it's just been a much needed recalibration. Right. You know what I mean? Because it's just like for centuries, women have been like just under the opposite gender. You know what I mean? And like that shit's really insane. Yeah. So it's like for that to happen right now, I think that's great. You see like women stepping up in certain roles, like CEO positions across like the business world. So it's like, it's only right that it happens in entertainment as well. Yeah. I would just hope that like they also put amount of money into the marketing as well, because I just feel like the WNBA itself, if they pump more marketing dollars into it, it could be as big as the NBA. It's just one of those things you just don't hear about enough. So it's like, it's great that we're about to get them paid. It's like, now let's lift the whole sport up. You know what I mean?
I think, and it's interesting when you look at soccer. Even last year, you had the women's USA team that has won more than the men's team. You look at the last 20 years, and yet they get paid less. But it doesn't actually make sense when they, because of their contributions, USA Soccer's on a different level, only for women. For men, we're like middle of the pack, you know. And then it was interesting yesterday. You know, they had the Democratic debate, and you know, they have Klobuchar, they have Warren on stage, and you have three other men, all white people at this point. But Elizabeth Warren made a comment, because now this buzzy thing has been, Bernie Sanders said to her privately in 2018 that a woman can't really win president in 2020 against Trump. So he denied it, but then mad people came out and said, nah, it's really true. And Elizabeth Warren, when she was asked about it on stage, was kind of like, well, I mean, collectively on this stage, there's 10 elections that have been lost, and they were all by the men on the stage. The two women on the stage have never lost an election. So it was like, so when you talk about the idea of losing, it's like, what are we really talking about here? And opportunities. And so even the CEO thing is like, is it people stepping up into CEO's roles, or is it now opportunities are there where they're finally enabled to be like, yo, I've always been a CEO. Here I am, you know? And that's really dope to watch that transformation in culture and that shift, where women who outnumber men in society are being in positions where this is, you know, they've earned this. This is, you know, the truth of how the nation should be. But yeah.
I think that the financial disparity between women who, you know, it's interesting because you said, yeah, you know, it's dope that like they're playing basketball. Oh, sorry, they're playing basketball. I'm like such a just.
She over here tapping the table, you know, got the audio.
I think it's interesting because when I say society, to me that is synonymous with white America in large part, and societally, women are not supported in sports arenas. So you naturally, like me playing basketball, I was a tomboy. If I wasn't, it's kind of like, I play Barbie dolls and I like playing basketball. It's like, really? You know, it's kind of like you almost condition women at a very young age to go in a direction.
Not almost, like it's done,
it's
right?
Done.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's done. It's just, it's so cognitive, it's so systematic, because it's even ingrained in the nature of our culture as Black people. We are naturally protective of like our children, right? So it's kind of like you're giving your daughter options. You can go this way. You might like girls. You might be a lesbian. You know, it's like there are these repercussions to being an athlete.
Well, did you remember that there was that study they did with the young Black girl, and it's like a YouTube video now, but they showed her a white Barbie, a Black Barbie doll, and said which one's prettier, and she picked the white one. They're like, why? I don't know, it's just prettier, right? And it was like, that stuff is ingrained from a young age as to what is beauty or what is success or what can women do or what can women not do. And same for men, right? You know, what a man's supposed to be about and what he's not supposed to be about from a young age and ingrained in us. So very interesting overall. To take a hard turn on this, because you know this is like the most macho version of men, in that I'm gonna move to Bad Boys for Life is coming out. So I'm a Will Smith guy. I will say this: I've gotten into many heated debates because as a Will Smith guy, I've felt let down for the last 15 years. 15. That's a long time. The reason why I say that is because I was a Fresh Prince guy. I loved all the early. I loved Ali. Loved Bad Boys. Love Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2 is my favorite movie of all time. I don't care if it's cheesy. I love it. No, he has. I think. All right. My thing is, well, he had been giving me movies.
Is
I think.
That 15 years old?
It's not. No, he's had some things in there. Maybe 10. Maybe I should say 10.
Okay.
But in the sense that I think Instagram-wise, dude is popping. Like, I think he's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Since
As
he started
a
it's
human
crazy.
being, I mean, he's just an amazing light, right? That we can all acknowledge. And I don't want to make this whole Will Smith thing. So, back in the day, back in college, one of my closest homies, his name is Desmond. He probably stands around 5'6", 5'7". Yeah. Biggest Martin Lawrence fan. I say his height because he loved Martin because he was a small, like, he's like Martin stature. So, we would always discuss Bad Boys versus Bad Boys 2. He loved Bad Boys, the first one, because Martin was popping. Like, that was when he was like top of the game, and so Will was like, "Oh, you could throw him in here, right?" And it ended up being really good as pretty good as a unit. Bad Boys 2 was like, it was very much Will Smith's movie, right? By this point, he's wearing like the dope coats and stuff. He's dating Gabby Union, who's Martin's sister. Martin's married, has kids, a dog that breaks down the above ground pool, in the movie.
Okay.
So, and off the Fresh Prince vibe and even rapping stuff, like, he was always my guy. And then I swear I think somebody on his team left because the ability to pick great movies, I feel like, has kind of waned. That's just what I've observed, I think. That being said, I'm extremely excited about this movie coming out because Bad Boys has meant so much to me in my life. But what are your thoughts on it? I mean, Martin, Will, like, what's good? What are y'all thinking?
You know what? I was talking about this yesterday because I saw, first of all, he's so Instagram popping. Mm-hmm. But I think it's smart of him because he understands where the marketing, Instagram is a great advertising tool. And he understands. That boy got a whole film camera thing. Them effects he be having on a phone. I'm like, damn, Will. But I noticed there was a video where he said, this is what we do to shut down when we shut down Hollywood Boulevard. Did you see that? Where he was like showing the celebrities they had the premiere in LA. I love how supportive he's clearly. It's like evident how supportive he's being of Martin. Like he is literally like, I don't know what happened to Martin. Some people, I don't know what happened, but his disposition is clearly like more
subdued.
But he's been like, so everyone's like, yo, Will, he got out of the car and he's like, yo, this legend right here. Like he shows him so much love. Like, yo, acknowledge my brother who you used to love, you fake ass, disloyal people who won't want him to be relevant right now because I'm so relevant. I'm about to show you he's still relevant. I love that he's like that. I love that.
No, I love it. And Martin, you know, it's tough. Like he had the whole breakdown at the end of the 90s where he was like in the middle of the street with a gun and like had a mental He came back and had like stand up after that, but it was, you know, his career was a little bit different. Well, very different after that because I think what's interesting about that dynamic is right now you look at Chappelle talks about the Martin thing too and like why he left Hollywood and that life for 10 years. He's like, yo, like shit. He's like Martin in the streets doing crazy. Like what's happening in Hollywood? Like what the fuck is happening out there that's making people crazy? Which leads him to talk about why he ended up leaving for a while or what have you. But I think it is interesting watching that dynamic of them play out as they do this press junket, especially around New York City, because they've been on everything the last week and a half. And you know, Will's light is very bright. You know, and it's weird because you watch him kind of dim it a bit just so that Martin is kind of included. But you know, they have a friendship that's gone on for a long time. I mean, you got kind of a smirk. What are you thinking?
Well, one, you know, they've been in the industry for a long time. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very tough to, regardless of what happens, to just continue to perform at that level for so long. You know what I mean? And then I think even when you go to compare if we were to compare like their work against each other, like Will has like always shined brighter. You know what I mean? Like he's a blockbuster actor. You know what I mean? So it's like after 6 Degrees of Separation and the Fresh Prince stuff and all of that, he went straight into blockbuster movies for so long. You know what I mean?
Bad Boys helps kind of catapult him in that space, and then Men in Black and all the other movies.
Like if you compare it to basketball, like he's been winning rings in the beginning of his career. So then like when he goes to do like Pursuit of Happiness and all of those movies, that's like him just trying to like score, put numbers on.
Those are good though.
Like, look, I could do this too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just Ali. It's not just Men in Black. You know what I mean? So I mean,
I think he did those movies because that's who he is as a person, though. I think there were more. I believe in this. Like that Pursuit of Happiness, personally, I mean, I've heard interviews of him talk about what that script meant to him. Right. So that was like a Denzel Washington playing Malcolm X. It's like, no, this is my role because I want to play this role.
Oh, that's interesting.
He had his son in the movie with him. Like, that was a very personal movie for him.
Like, me as a fan? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, me as a fan, when I see that, I'm looking at him like, okay, he's trying to put up that performance that's going to get him acknowledged to get like an Oscar.
Right.
You know what I mean? As a fan, that's what I would think. Because it's like when these guys do blockbusters, like they don't really come off with like Oscars like that. You know what I mean? I mean, for the most part, you know. I don't know. That's just what I think as a fan. You know what I mean?
And I enjoy that range. Like that's what I want to see from Will because I think that he can step into that. He's capable of it.
But you said the last 15 years.
Well, but that's my point though. I feel like he's capable of doing it. I just feel like the last 15 years he hasn't. Like there's been glimmers, right? Like I think of every 4 movies, one is like okay or good, and that is frustrating because there's like 3 that you just be like, well,
I feel like, and so I wanted to address your point, one, because I think, yes, Will may have gone into blockbuster, but Martin was holding down syndicated television for a very long time, and that is not to be forgotten.
He had more seasons than Fresh Prince?
I mean, I don't know, but arguably...
It was 6 for Fresh Prince. I'm not sure. I think Martin was around there.
I don't know.
I think Martin only did 5.
But I don't know a lot of... It doesn't matter the tenure.
Okay.
Because I think more black people F with Martin way more than
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Look. Facts though. Martin is like true stand-up comedy.
Yes, it's
That's
hilarious.
One. And he in all the movies that we love. He in what the Class Act. Is that it? Or House Parties? You know what I mean? So it's like he's in black movies. You know what I mean? Where like Will's in like global movies.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying. I think at some point they just shouldn't be compared. Like when it comes to that, because like there's movies and then there's television.
They have different roles in our in our culture and
Martin's
everything.
role in the black community was so significant. Like he made us laugh on TV without needing to wear a dress. When he chose a character, that character was hilarious. He was Nutty Professor before Eddie Murphy even did it. He was mad characters. You know what I mean? And he had us like laughing. And to this day, you could still watch every Martin episode and be like on the floor.
I still think Fresh Prince was funnier, but I get it.
See, that's
like,
funny because that's
like,
I love Fresh. First of all, I'm a Will fan more, but Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was funny, corny. It was like corny. Martin was
Martin was better.
Martin
was better. Look, let me hear. See, with Fresh Prince, right?
Yeah.
He had all the most beautiful women of that time period. Always
in
all the episodes, right?
Yes.
And then he was just. He dressed better than everybody. Like you could like find like new outfits to wear, new sneakers just from watching him on Fresh Prince. But Martin made me want to like grow up and get an apartment and like live a life as a black adult. Like Martin was like fire.
Word.
You know what I mean? Like it was like
he wanted to make your boy crawl through the window just so you could be like, what you doing in the window?
Yeah. Martin just felt like nigga shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it was, and I get it. Like I think it was hilarious too. But Fresh Prince to me, like that family dynamic of like that, like, and I guess we're looking at it for different reasons, right? Like you talked about like the idea of stepping up into a space where you can get an apartment, grow up, or whatever. Yeah. Fresh Prince was like family, just like I love the Uncle Phil jokes. I love that back then you could crack on somebody being fat and it wasn't like this deep thing. It was just like the nigga was fat.
It felt like a cooler version of like Family Matters to me.
Yes, that's the dynamic. One was like they were family in different ways. Martin's family was.
You're right. That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
That's very true.
Like Pam, and she was mad ghetto, and bro, man, it's like really, bro. And then like freaking Cole, who I've had the pleasure of working next to, like they legitimately fun. You know what? Everybody was a comedian.
Yes.
On Martin.
Yeah.
That's what was funny.
Oh, okay.
Everybody was.
Wow, I didn't think
funny.
about it like that.
Well,
that
but and the thing is, Fresh Prince has an episode where you can tell that's like energy that was coming towards them because they have DL Hughley plug in there,
right.
And there's that episode where Will tries to do stand up and fails at it, and DL's like, "Let me take the mic from this man before you kill us all," and then goes up and kills
Yes.
So they made an acknowledgement that Will's not a comedian. He's a funny dude.
Yeah.
And then there's people that really deserve that credit, like a Martin, like a DL, what have you.
And they even wrote in the script that Will's like he was cute, corny. Like when Nia Long, she's like, "You're cute," you know, like you're corny, cute, you know. It's okay, baby.
I feel hurt for Will right now.
I love those big ass ears. First of all, I love Will. I'm a massive fan. Don't get it twisted. I'm a massive fan. If we're just talking about the technicalities of, you know
that's
what I'm
a real
saying?
thing. Yeah.
You're right. I think Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a modern day, grown up, like from childhood to adolescent-ish, teenage, Family Matters. Because it was family oriented and it was like values and real things and your dad's gone. And like, so it was full of so much other valuable life stuff. Right. Martin was pure entertainment, unadulterated. Life in real time. But it was definitely like black people. And I feel like, oh my God, y'all might love. I feel like Martin was, for people in the South, what rap was. It was Lil Jon. It was the music that it wasn't conscious rap because we oppressed enough, nigga. We just want to laugh. We just want to hear some music that doesn't dive deep. We don't want KRS-One right now. And that's like New Yorkers, like Southern rap is whack, it's stupid. But in the South, people just want to have a good time because you're bombarded with palpable racism. So you just want to hear music that's like fun. Like, it's like, oh yeah, nigga, let's turn up.
Right.
Because we deal with enough shit. I don't want to think about it. Nigga, I live it. That's how it feels. And I feel like it's why people, at least in the South, gravitated to Martin so much. But I was like a kid, so I loved Will because I was like, I want that to be my family. Right. Like, I wanted to live in that family. Yeah. I wished Aunt Vivian was my aunt.
Well, no, so that's Yo, Aunt Viv, the first one. The second one, but the first one was dope. But nah, I'm glad I have you guys at the table. You guys are musicians. You guys have been very successful in your own rights. As hip hop, and I'm euphemizing it, right? Because reality is like we're gonna talk about R&B, we're gonna talk about other things as well. Yeah. But as hip hop enters this 6th decade, right, starting in the 70s, and here we are. It's changed a lot. You talk about just now like what the kinds of artists we respond to based on where we are and what we're going through in life. I want to really take a deep look at how it's changed from a cultural perspective, how it's changed from an impact perspective in terms of like now it's the number one listened to music in the world, and what does it look like for artists now? Like and I'll just a quick add on. I watched a like 2.5 hour Drake interview with Rap Radar, and and he talks a lot about the difference in like how even male artists now, how you have dudes singing about the deepest, most painful stuff, just singing, like, you know what I mean? And that'll be a number one hit on the Billboard charts, right? Like, so things have changed a lot. Where do you guys feel like the culture is going when it comes to hip hop? And I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah. And thinking about, first of all, I just think that what we're seeing when we're looking at hip hop and the way it's expanding is that we're seeing hip hop finally get to have some of the privileges that like a rock and roll has had or a jazz has had, because it's so young. And then like if you look at some of like the earlier rappers or the rappers that came from one of the earlier generations, like a Rakim or a Slick Rick, they had like a shorter time window, you know what I mean? Where you see like a Jay-Z, a Snoop Dogg, a Nas have 20 years in the game now. You know what I mean? So it's like we're seeing it evolve to a different place, because it's like, say like a Rakim and them, these guys, they can't like go on tour or anything like that anymore. If they do, it's in certain areas and locations pockets, and places where it's like the one band member that's still alive from the Doors, the white band, can still go on tour and make $500 million. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, So it's like, I feel like now we're watching hip hop, you know what I mean, as a whole, rap and R&B like kind of move into this space. You know what I mean? And I think the biggest difference between this time period and the other time periods when they were growing is that like now we're in a place where we're living our life on the internet. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like the ways in which it can expand is like limitless. You know what I mean? Like me being from Philly, like I would have like my own slang. Like like we'll say like John and Young Boy and Drawn and stuff like that. But it's like, if you're from somewhere else, like you won't talk the way I talk. Not back in the day, but now because everything's connected. Like I could be somewhere and someone would say Young Boy in Delaware, and it's just like, oh, okay, all right. I guess it's cool. We're just all on the internet. You know what I mean? So no, I just think that we're expanding into this place where we're going to see that we're going to be equal with some of the other genres of music. Right. You know what I mean? So because of that, there's not going to be limits anymore. We're not going to be in a box anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for it.
That's real. I mean, Letta J, how you feeling about it?
First of all, I love Philly slang. I be like, yo, that's a drum right there. I love that. Was it Young Boy?
Young Bull.
Young Bull. Yeah. I think that's what he called me, a Young Bull.
You got to check out, Joe Moody? Out in Philly.
Yes, my guy. He's on my last project. Oh, dope. Yeah, so we've been on tour together and everything.
Yeah, he dropped that freestyle, the John freestyle, and it's fire. Like you gotta check it out for more Philly slang.
My guy.
The Drake interview. What is it aired on?
It's on Rap Radar.
It's on YouTube now though. You can check it out. Yeah,
okay.
But it's been. I mean, like, yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting to me. Yeah, like how hip hop. It's interesting. I don't call it hip hop anymore. I call it rap music, because hip hop to me started in New York, or like definitely New York, but arguably the East Coast kind of had this thing. Now, mind you, my perspective was growing up in the South, and it feels like hip hop, like with Love and Basketball, she was like, when did you first fall in love with, Brown Sugar, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? And it felt like it was an homage to music from this lyrically contemplative, cognitive struggle from a Black man's perspective about experiences. It was just, okay.
Just make sure I live first. Right. My eyes watering. I was like trying to hold that cough for like 30 seconds.
So the funniest thing to me is just like rappers are singers too now, and so there's like there are no divisions, right? Which I think is cool. I have songs that I did a song with Skrillex, and I was like, it was like diamonds in my skin, shining bright and glistening. Yep, and the word is in. Like it was like I was like kind of spitting a little, but I wasn't spitting. I was just singing. To me, that's singing, right? And so somebody hears it like, oh, you a rapper too? I was like, no, man, this is a song and I sang it. And it's just like, it's funny though, because literally people say I'm a rapper and a singer. And to me, I'm like a singer because I believe that rapping is such a talent, such a skill that I don't want to say I'm a rapper if I'm not like a rapper. You know what I mean? It's like somebody's like, oh my God, I want you in my movie. You know, I love your look and everything. And I'm like, but I'm not really an actress. And they were like, no, I think you could body this role. So then, okay, I do the role. Right. But then I'm like, I mean, you know, I've acted, but I think acting is such a skill that I feel like I'm disgracing it by saying I'm an actress. I'm not an actress. Yeah. So I don't say I'm a rapper because like I love Nicki because she's a rapper to me. I love Lil' Kim, she's a rapper. Eve's a rapper. Like these are rappers. Like they can't sing. And if they're and like so Missy Elliott was dope because she was a rapper and a singer and a writer. She was one of my favorite artists in the entire world, biggest influences. So I feel like it's interesting, like when I listen to like Juicy WRLD. I streamed his project. I would stream it all the time for our gaming events. And I found it so interesting that people were not concerned before he passed away.
That's a real thing. Yeah.
Everything, every single song, I felt as an artist, as a singer and a songwriter who places mad importance on lyrics, this brother is hurting. Right. And he is taking copious drugs to mitigate his pain. This is escapism. Who is around him? And why are they not doing more? Like, you know what I'm saying?
But my question is, why does that keep happening? Like, cause you're that's real, right? There's so much pain in the music now we hear. It's like, these cats are like 20 years old, 21, 19, 6. Like, what is causing that to be overlooked? Because like you said, as a lyricist, you hear it in the music. You hear something's wrong, right? Like, it's cool when you can make music that disattached from or detached from your lived experience. But as artists, you also know a lot of it is your lived experience. So like, why is it going overlooked? And why is it that, and I can answer that easily in terms of money, right? The people seem to connect with it. But then my question on a deeper level would be, why are so many people connecting with that kind of music nowadays where that wasn't the case before?
See, I don't think it's just hip hop though. Like so I don't think it's just today. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I mean I think that's an industry thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if anyone was asking questions about like Kurt Cobain. Yeah, I don't know if anyone was like stopping him because he was begging for help in his music, or like what Jimi Hendrix would his whole preparation to even get on stage. I don't think anyone was stopping that. You know what I mean? I think that like
from the sheer numbers. It's seemingly, right? We just seem bombarded. But
we have our phones now. You know what I mean? That's fair. So it's different. Like we're sharing at a very, very high rate. You know what I mean? Like we're all super connected, and our timelines is the news, and we're looking at it every single morning when we wake up. Sometimes before we even look at nature. Sometimes before we even thank God, we just on a timeline. What's going on? You know what I mean? So I think that it's just about like where the light is going. So right now the light is on a place where it's like there's a market to make money off of this from an artist perspective. You know what I mean? So artists are putting themselves in these positions. You know what I mean? Where it's like people have always taken drugs. You know what I mean? But I think this is where the light is. You know what I mean? And there are some people who are like who are utilizing this to sell. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because like there's pitfalls that come with it.
Yeah. But the thing I would highlight is like, you know, when we look at we can focus on American culture, right? Like suicide rates are up 30% since 2000. And it's like, so that's a real number. Like things have changed a lot, and you're like, well, what's different about 2000 and today? And I think, you know, I look at, for me, being in business, I look at Facebook now owns Instagram. Facebook made the decision through Instagram to stop having likes being shown in Australia, and said to us, okay, we're going to do test pilots of it in the US as well. Facebook has never cared at all about us. Like we are what they are selling, right? Our data, our information. The fact that all of a sudden they're like, yo, actually, you know, we just want to help out. We want to make sure there's no likes so that people can just live normal lives. It's like they've done enough research, in my guesstimation, to realize this shit looks grim, right? Like people are really being affected by this stuff in a deep way. And so it to me now, it's like, you're right. I think we do have access to hear more stories faster. So it might sometimes I feel like we're being inundated by things and the light is on this. But I feel like the light is on it and still not doing it enough justice, in that there are so many people that are hurting these days that then gravitate to the music in mass. And I don't want to put it on just like, oh, these few artists, because it's not just them serving a certain demographic, a certain person, but like when we're watching just cats fall, you look at Mac Miller, Juice WRLD, like all these cats, and this is just the last 2 years, and it's. And a lot of them tend to be young black men, and I think that part is very interesting too, because historically that hasn't been, like, suicide rates in the black community are up so much, and it's like that usually wasn't our battle, if you will. Yeah. And I don't want to sound like I'm disconnected, but I mean, like, we didn't culturally, and mind you, a lot of it is like you talk about escapism. We deny a lot of shit in our communities too, whether it's Caribbean, African, black, like it's all together. We'd be like, he just sad, the nigga good, he pick it up, but like. It's like it's really become a thing. So that like, I don't know, but I
feel like that's part of the problem too. Yeah. So when I think about like extentacion, right? I think about young black men in America today. You have, and they're all from the South. These guys are Southern people. So you have this. There's a way a black man's supposed to be. You strong. You don't cry. You hard. You good, nigga. You good. And he's not good. And you're dealing with so much, like, outside of evident poverty, right? They don't have money. But we had a whole digital paradigm shift that's occurred. So now you are able to actually be financially okay. The biggest problem is people are equating being financially okay to being fulfilled, and it is not. And at some point, and so to the outside world, they're like, man, you got everything you want. I wish I had that, bruh, right? But that did not solve his problem, because there is a nucleus of that man. And that money didn't surround him by the kind of therapy that would heal him. It didn't give him the people that would make them authentically gravitate to who he is as a black man in America, suffering because he lives in a place, he sees things in that place that are hurting him, and he's not getting to show that he's hurting. Who is he leaning on? Who is he crying with? Who is he being consoled by? And I personally feel like that is, in large part, the plot of the black man in America, which is why I feel the responsibility of a black woman in America is so dire, that we are the queens that are capable, equipped with the natural gifts to uplift a king, to literally heal him in a sense. And these guys don't have someone to heal them. And then they got money, so now they're surrounded by people that don't even care about them. And so they're crying out through the way that they can cry out. But to everyone else, they got this money, but it is not solving anything. It's literally giving them the way to escape in the most wrong way possible for what they need. And it becomes a cycle, because it's heartbreaking, honestly. And like, as an artist, like, I've never been rich, but I have had $1 million record deal. But I remember, like, it is so funny because I've said this to people. I had like a penthouse in Jersey City. I had my apartment in LA. I got my mom, I rented a house in Orlando. I was driving my little Benz and stuff. And I remember on Christmas Day, I was in Jersey City in my apartment. I was by myself. And I was sad. And I was looking around, and my place had like 6 balconies. And I sat on one of the terraces that faced New York. Like, New York was my view, like that skyline. The Colgate building, bam, right into my backyard. And I was like, wow, I feel so alone. I didn't want to call anyone because I didn't want to talk to anyone. And I was like, and then I got a call that my father, my adoptive father, he passed away, right? And I was just like, I should be happier now, I think. I think I should be happier now. And it was such an incredible moment for me, because it was in that moment that I learned as a young adult, this shit really doesn't make me happy. Wow. It was like a light bulb moment. I learned that I needed so much more as a person to be fulfilled, that happiness, first of all, is the most fleeting emotion, because you could literally win the lottery and then something happens to someone you love and that happiness dissipates as quickly as it came. So then I was like, what should I be searching for? And I wrote my first book that day I started it, because it was me understanding, what does the pursuit of being fulfilled look like? Like, what could take this away? If this thing that I worked for, that I moved to a place for, doesn't give me what I thought it was going to give me, what will? And I ask myself that every time I meet another Black person, to be honest, because my people mean everything to me. And I think of things that way structurally. And I feel like when I think about these young people, young men, that they need so much more and we are not giving it to them. And I feel like we as a community have a responsibility to reach them differently.
Yeah. I think science actually plays a lot into this. You know what I mean? Because again, like you said, you know what I mean? Like, hip hop is the top genre, right? So those are the people who we're looking at. You know what I mean? But we don't know what are the ramifications of humans in cell phones, and humans and us having to live two different worlds. Like, I mean, I don't know how old everyone is, but I remember like before cell phones. You know what I mean? I remember like street lights come on, go home, and shit like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I couldn't imagine what it's like to be born into a world with an iPhone, you know what I mean, with that much computing power on you. So it's like, and to have to live two different lives, right. You know what I mean? So regardless of like who was in the forefront of music right now, I feel like we would see, I feel like those numbers are probably the same across the board of like suicides and depression, you know what I mean? Like, more than just like hip hop artists. I think it's just humans in general. You're right. Because it's just like, yeah. What is this that we're doing right now? You get what I'm saying? Like,
fentanyl and all that stuff.
I literally have like phantom rings from my phone in my pocket. I reach for it and it's like, it didn't ring. And it's like, this is not normal. Yeah. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I don't know if like the human physiology is supposed to be built for that. You know what I mean? It never occurred for us. And we're seeing all of this happen within the past 20 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? And out of human existence. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, no one's talking about the science behind it. And if we can figure out that, and there should be like some studies around this and like kind of certain things around that level, and I feel like that's going to like help more with this. You know what I mean? Other than that, it's like, I can see why people are depressed. As much as these things are connecting us, it makes us alone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and the idea with Facebook was to connect people, right? Connect the world. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like everybody's become a master marketer. And I use master very loosely. I just mean like marketer, right? We just market our lives all the time. Yeah. And so, versus like the real stuff. And, you know, what I found is it's been very interesting. I remember I posted about this. I think I've shared this before, but I posted about this. My car got popped right in Bed-Stuy. This was like 5 years ago.
Like shot?
No, like somebody punched it in. Oh. Stole my iPad at the time. Texas. Yeah, right.
I mean,
popped, you know, fair enough. Somebody tried me like a year ago, like a few months ago. But I remember posting that story because it was such a full day. Like, came to the car, is busted in. My sister uses Find My iPhone app for the iPad. She's able to track it down to a Kennedy Fried Chicken right out here. Yeah, so like me and my homies, it's on my homie's birthday. We like all hop in the car, put a black plastic bag on it. We're driving up and down like Nostrand trying to look for the cats. Because the thing is, Find My iPhone's like 5 minutes delayed, or it was at the time. So you would be like, we're here. There's nobody there. Like, what the hell? Man. So like we at one point I had just put this like blue case on the iPad the night before. It was like stark blue. And because my other case was ripping and it was black, which is funny because if it was black, I wouldn't have noticed it. Dude was walking by and just swinging it. And I'm like, oh, and it's like 3 of them. So I'm like, I can't just step to these dudes. Like, let me just get this shit right. So we're like tracking them up and down Nostrand for a minute. They walk into a pawn shop. The pawn shop dude's like, nah, I'm not going to buy that. I ran into the pawn shop like, yo, did some dude try to just sell you an iPad? He's like, yeah, like a second ago. I'm like, yeah, they stole it from me. He's like, you better get them. I'm like, yo, what? So... it was crazy. My homie was calling the cops. Like, they pick him up. All this weird stuff. This was over like a full day. Wow. And we we got the iPad back, all kinds of stuff. But I remember posting that story and then putting at the end of it and I'm posting that from the very iPad they tried to rob. And to this day, it's been my most engagement post in Facebook history, right? Because people were like, and a lot of white folks that were moving to gentrified neighborhoods were like, that's happened to me, but I just didn't feel comfortable saying it because they don't want to seem racist.
So they saw the iPad in your car and broke into the car?
No, they didn't. No, what happened was, and it's still my fault. The iPad was under the seat. I used to use it for music, so I tuck it under my the front seat when I get out. Yeah. That's not visible from the street, or it wasn't at the time. What was visible though was my grandmother had given me the champagne bottle from my co-founder. Yo, this is for Christmas. Champagne. Yeah, Merry Christmas, and I left the gift bag in the car. So it's some vibrant gold color. Gosh. So you walking by, you see it, you're like, oh shit. So then they were like, oh, this is some bullshit. And they found the iPad and took that instead. But it was an archaic iPad, so it didn't have no value anyways. But it did for me because it had my notes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just share that because it's normally though we'd imagine the more that from the standpoint of validation, I could put at the end, I've got it back, right? Justice. But normally when negative things happen, your car breaks down, you don't post it on Instagram and nobody wants to see it, or we think nobody wants to see it. And I think that it's interesting watching the confluence of all the things that are going on and how we look at social media in these spaces. For hip hop, I think hip hop or rap, if you will, right? It's from a cultural standpoint now, it's so different. I was watching something recently where it talked about fashion wise, athleisure is a thing, right? But historically, things that athletes wore become fashion for the masses. But more specifically, used to be fashion for the rich people, and then it became fashion for the masses. Rap culture is in everything now, right? Look at Wendy's social media account. It's hilarious, but it's black culture. In terms of the way they respond to things, in terms of the jokes they use. When people say dope, woke, fam, my whitest of white friends will say, yo, what's good, fam? I'm like, nigga, that's not you. But it is now, right? That's culturally accepted,
I think we're everywhere. Even you said Wendy, I was like, Wendy, how you doing? Or Wendy,
fair,
burger,
Yeah.
She wouldn't have even mattered before. There was one Wendy.
Popeyes threw 10 stacks to this woman who on Family Feud was they were like, what's one thing Popeyes eats? Chicken. It was a white woman. And everybody starts laughing, and the white dude was like, spinach, right? And so Popeye slid her 10,000. Was yo, that's great TV.
That's
so
dope.
That is the culture now, right?
That's actually dope.
So, and Popeyes isn't even black owned, but they got the black woman on the commercial, so everybody thinks they are. But
that's funny.
So it's just it's so interesting how it's matriculated the culture.
Yeah.
Holistically, even overseas as well. I was telling Chris offline. When I was in South Africa recently, I was having a conversation and the N-word came up, and it was not really the use of it, just kind of came up in conversation. And I remember this young lady I was talking to, she was like, yeah, what's good, my nigger?
No.
Black woman.
Oh, okay.
She didn't know though, and I'm like, it
means something.
Yeah, I was like, nah, it's that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Don't do that ever again.
That was wild.
That's not the way we use it. Or pronounce it.
That was hard. Jeez.
But in her mind, it's that was, she just hears it in her music and was oh. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
That was your South African accent?
I didn't try one.
Okay.
That might have just been my accent. Is it bad? It's probably just bad. I don't know. All right, so obviously we talked a lot about hip hop and how it's changed, rap music, how it's changed, how it's affected culture holistically. What is it meant for your music? What does it look like? What is the over the horizon for you going into 2020 and beyond?
So I create music that speaks directly to who I am and what I represent as a person. I've had enough years where I've created music for the entity and did what I was supposed to do. So my music is very anthemic. When people ask me what kind of music I create, I have definitely transcended genres. For me, I create visuals so I wrote a short film. And the songs, the first episode has 5 songs, each soundtrack to the film is an EP essentially. And so I have multiple episodes, get to be the director because I fucking direct things. And I, get to also express myself musically. And the best part is, it's not about a genre. I can have a rock song because it fits this scene. I can have, the country song, whatever it is. It's music speaks, and it's not about a genre. So I create world music. And I like creating songs that people can connect to, that they feel represents what they feel so that they know they are not alone, that encourages them, that helps them understand they're not the only ones that have gone through it. And so I write music for the world.
That's dope.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah, man, I make music for like the underdogs. You know what I mean? Like I remember like just being younger and working on music, and like one of my friends, she would always like compare me to another artist, like, you need to do what they're doing, you need to do it like this. And it's like, nah, I'm gonna take the long way around this block. I'm gonna go the long way, but I'm gonna own everything when I do it. You know what I mean? So I feel like I make music for those folks who might have to go the extra couple steps and take the long way, but they're gonna end up there. You know what I mean? And in terms of like how I do it, I kind of view everything from the perspective of like artist 2.0. Right. I feel like we're just at a place where it's like, it's not just about creating music for me. It's about creation, period. You know what I mean? I like to create circles of people. I like to create like all kinds of art. You know what I mean? So it's like, in doing that, my focus is always to like establish, like, how can my music establish like a physical connection within like a digital landscape? You know what I mean? So like, that's my goal from here going forward, is just to remain a cultural architect, build the platforms, put my music on it, and just like allow my music to be a soundtrack for my life.
Yeah. So real quickly, how can people connect with you guys beyond here, right? You first.
Yeah, of course. So my hub is lettajmusic.com, www.lettajmusic. Everything, every platform that exists, Letta J Music.
Got you. And then for you,
Doc Cromwell, they call me Doc because I connect those. So just just Doc Cromwell on everything. And I'm the co-founder of Million Watts. So pull up to a Million Watts event.
Hey.
If you're up to it. If not, man, we could just do a collective freestyle real quick. And then
a collective freestyle.
Yo, you want?
Oh, go ahead. Get it started then.
All right. I got time. We got the time? We got the time? Oh, damn, I'll do this without cursing. All right. Shit. I'm hearing.
I do not freestyle.
I'm a spitter.
All right. Just rap, take ownership. I'm chilling with my crew. Letta J. Doc Cromwell here too. I'm gonna pass it off, spin it to the next one. Doc Cromwell, pick it up, drop the mic, son.
We serious?
We serious. You know what I'm saying?
Hey yo, welcome to the next level. Red light special. They be popping pussy for a bezel. In my zone, I was grown from the Reaganomics. Was in the hood with the devil dancing, empty pockets. If we don't profit, how we making the outcome? A diamond with a flaw or a pebble without one. My pedal to the floor. I ain't the one you gonna outrun. Get down or lay down. You're better off riding shotgun. They know you rock solid. Try taking you for granted. I always make the finish line, just never how I planned it. Victors write history, nigga. What did you think? I'm on the right path now. They acknowledge my ink.
Hey. Letta already sang for us, y'all. I'm not gonna put her on the spot. You know what I'm saying? She said she got respect for rappers. I got respect for rappers too, bro.
You know what I'm
Good
saying?
stuff, man. Good stuff.
You want to check out them bars, go to my website, listen to them bars, to that melody. You know what I'm saying?
For Dallas and Philly.
Yeah.
Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. That's WIL Take Ownership Podcast, where we're taking ownership over your mental, your economics, and your community. Peace.